You're saying that bikini is starting to carry more mass.
And when I say close, I'm saying close. I'm not saying, if you look at a bikini girl and a wellness girl, you're not going to be able to tell the difference in the lower body. I'm not saying that. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying they're going to be much closer. But right now, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think it all comes down to, number one, we have so many more athletes coming into the sport. Like the number and volume of athletes that are in the sport now, men and women, is mind-blowing. Mm-hmm. They're coming from all walks of life. We have social media where we can, and the online presence where we can see what's happening as it's happening. Mm-hmm. Whereas before we couldn't really see that. So we're seeing beginners who are starting at whatever level that they're at, seeing what the standard is, let's say from the Olympia, and we're trying to match that standard. Now we have all ages in a sport mm-hmm. where someone my age might be coming in.
Which is 35.
Yeah, it's always going to be 35. Always going to be 35. Coming in who have muscle maturity. Mm. So that there's just so many different ways to look at this.
Yes, a lot.
But when you have all of these different factors coming in and you're trying to meet a standard, I believe that what the judges are seeing and how they're having to judge, it's what's being put in front of us. Yeah. And it isn't just that, a judge would pick somebody that is a little bit bigger. There's a lot of factors that go into that. When a judge sits down and they're looking at all these girls, we might have, 3 or 4 girls in this top 5 that they're ticking most of the boxes mm-hmm. of what the standard is. However, there's one person who has ticked all the boxes. They might not quite fit the standard.
But they got more checked off.
Right, they got more checked mm-hmm. off. Let's say they may not be as lean, but they're lean enough. Their body's clean, their suit fits good, their tan is good, their hair, but they pose really well. And so they have been coached well enough to hide maybe some things that are a little too strong. And try and emphasize the things that they might be lacking just a little bit. And so they have great stage presence, which, when you sit down as a judge, if somebody has great how many times have we sat on a panel and been like, I can't stop looking at that person? Mm-hmm.
Well, have you seen her?
Yeah, it's like
your eyes just drawn to that person.
You just can't stop. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what wins from show to show is not necessarily what I'm trying to explain here without sounding like I know what I'm the expert.
It's just what you're observing.
It's what you're observing yes. and what is being presented in that moment. Mm-hmm. And for other competitors that are new to this sport or people who are viewing the sport, is to understand that pictures only show one part of the story.
Right.
And we have to be able to view the entirety of it all.
All angles.
So, right, you might come to just the night show, the finals. You didn't see prejudging. And, the higher you go up in levels, the more things can change in a small amount of time with an athlete that is dialed in or just missing it by 6 hours.
Well, when you're that lean and conditioned, time just takes a little bit.
So, some people might look at, well, I didn't think they looked that good, or, and then a judge might say, well, you should have seen them this morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those little nuances for new people that are in the sport or people who have been in it for a while but really haven't been coached or taken the time to research or find the knowledge or even talk to a judge. Just because you went to the table doesn't necessarily mean that you're getting all the information that you need. Because sometimes we don't have a lot of time when you're sitting down there to answer everybody's questions. And you might get different opinions from different judges. So you need to be able to really sit down and talk with people and research and take a look at who's winning and what level that they're at. At nationals, girls are striving and have been striving. Some get lucky and they're very new and green and they get a pro card, boom, right off the bat. And then you have other people who are that close. I used to be one of those girls, that close every single time. And it just, you have to be able to put in the work and the time and understand all the other things, all the other factors that are moving parts, are cogs in the wheel for wellness in bikini. I mean, you could talk about it between figure and women's physique, or, some of these girls, they might look like they could. I would look at Stephanie, one of our clients, and say, I could see her in figure too.
Because she's so muscular.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, so
that one would have been just whatever her flavor is.
Exactly.
When we were talking originally, thinking that she was going, I'll just deter for just a second, when she was originally wanting to be a wellness competitor.
Yeah.
The way the girl's looking muscular, I think you'd be better for bikini. And then I think you brought it up, and she can maybe get it quicker then when she gets her pro card, then decide which path she wants.
right.
And there were people saying, no, you should be figure. Because so you have somebody saying bikini, no wellness, no figure. You have people
and that's what I
like
mean.
that.
And
Yeah.
they're all educated,
They are.
guesses or suggestions. They all
pick a
had,
path once you get
merit
there.
to them,
Right.
but for different reasons. And there's different ways to get to each of those looks to be competitive. But then a lot of people don't look at the most basic one for me and for the athlete, and they'll go with whatever my coach said. Okay, but which one do you actually not like at all? Like the physique, when you see those ladies who look great on stage, and maybe you like the physique then, but you see them in off season, and you would not be happy with yourself. Like you would feel depressed walking around like that. Do not build for that division. If you do, just like somebody encouraging themselves to have an eating disorder, you're literally planning for your self-esteem to be shot almost the entire year. And then you'll have this one day of, I feel pretty. Oh, so pretty.
It's like getting
And
married.
then I hate myself, and I'm a fat lard all year long. I mean, why?
It is like getting married. Going to a show, prepping for a show is just like preparing for a wedding.
Yeah.
Because there's this huge buildup, this process, the whole thing, and then boom, it's done. And then
Now
the
what?
honeymoon's over, and
Now what?
bring on real life.
I know.
So are we going to stay together, or are we getting divorced?
right.
Is that it? Annulment? Did we do?
And most people's stage experience is either I love it or I hate it.
Shoot, mine, it was just supposed to be a bucket list. It was. I always wanted to do it. I wasn't big enough. And then men's physique came along. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I could do that. So I okay, let's do this. And that was a bucket of nerves. I mean, my shit was all over the place. And I'm seeing all the guys around. I got real nervous and shit. And then when I stepped on the stage, the moment I stepped on the stage, the lights, everything, those butterflies I had, I remember back my drill sergeant in the military. You can have butterflies, just get them flying in formation.
Yes.
All of a sudden, they started flying in formation. I'm like, holy.
Yeah.
I mean, hadn't even done prejudging yet. Just stepped on this. I'm going to do this again. But I want to circle back to what you said about checking the boxes.
Circle back first. So you were talking about people looking at what they see winning at a show and not really having the whole picture. I think it's like a series, like some series that everybody loves, like Game of Thrones or something.
Right.
You don't jump in on the 3rd season, episode 3, and decide, I love this. This is my favorite show ever. Or I hate this character, because you don't know anything about that character yet. And you don't go out and say, I want to be that character for Halloween, because that character may be like so boring to you once you watch the entire season. You have to actually get in there and see the plot. How is this going? Yes, this won at this show, but at 9 out of the other 10 shows, that was the outlier.
Exactly.
Like, that's not a thing that ever happened. Like my first show, did I have it twice? No. My first show, we had a rejudging. And his first show, there was a rejudging.
We both had rejudgings.
Rejudging never happens.
But it did to both of us.
Until it happens.
Right.
So people like at shows all the time, they don't necessarily prepare to still look your best when you come for the finals, because judging already happened. Well, yes, but on the off chance, and it is a very slim chance, that's what you tell clients, it's a very slim chance, but it could happen. Would you be happy with yourself if you looked great, you were in the center spot, and then you went out and ate something that blew you up, and then all of a sudden you lost that first place spot in a very rare rejudging?
Yes.
If you don't even know that's a thing,
it is a thing.
You're not going to prepare for it. And if you were only there in the prejudging in the morning and you saw someone win that class, and then you hear about the finals that you couldn't stay for or whatever, and you find out that so-and-so won, you're going to be pissed off. You're going to say the judges are biased. They went back there and changed that score because I saw that girl. She looked the best. She was in the center. And then this other girl didn't really look that good. She wasn't that cut or whatever. But for whatever reason, they had a rejudging, and shit changed. You know, looks changed, views changed, and the placing changed.
Well, with you
got to prepare for every freaking thing.
Well, with you, I remember Mark Mason, who's obviously been around for years. He could be he could be a judge. Man,
he could be a judge
better than
question.
I know, right? Because
he's
seen things. So I remember him saying when you came back on the evening show, because I think you were like a second or third in.
I don't remember. Everything ran together. There were so many classes.
And Mark turns around. She tightening up right here while I'm watching her on the stage? She was.
Yeah.
And then guess that the rejudge came back and boom, she goes and wins overall for that. And the rest is history.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, that was really cool. I mean, his face was like, you know, he knows, he sees it.
Well, and judges see it too.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's why they brought him back. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, wait, what is happening right
Well, for me, it was at Nationals when I wore my pro card. Because in prejudging, I missed it. But Lane says, no, you're not done till you're done for the night.
The show is not over.
Kimberly
That's right.
That
used to
lady
say
has
that
not
too.
sung.
You're not done till you're done.
That's right. You're not done it's until the lights are off and you walk off the
Which
stage.
can I add something here that
Hell
has
yeah.
bothered me
Go ahead.
for years in this in the backstage stuff.
Yes.
Let's go.
Why? Oh, why do people eat shit backstage before they even go on?
Oh, they're candies, and is that what you're talking
Yes.
about? Like
Yes, just
before they're pumping.
like you have spent so much time.
Are we at finals?
Yeah, no prejudging.
Oh, and prejudging. Okay, so I mean, let's set the scene for people that maybe haven't been to a show. So like, there's a bunch of competitors sitting around, and
With all of the shit that they have put in their freezer for 6 months or 4 months or
Well, okay,
3
so
months.
that's the key right there. They're taking food out that they haven't had in a while.
Yes,
So
they
like
are.
their big cookie things.
Yes, or their
They're not used to
candy,
it.
or their friend has baked them this or that, and they take it to the show with them. Don't fucking take it.
I haven't ever seen anyone do that, or maybe I just didn't realize it.
But people are doing that when they haven't had it. And they'll go that big old cookies and stuff like that. You're looking for your freaking gut just to go. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then if that's doing that, what do you think is going to happen to your physique?
I just, I think that particular scenario says a lot about yourself.
Agreed.
And
It's a character thing.
it is-
even though it's
it-
on
it-
them. I mean, they're only hurting themselves, but like
Right. They're only hurting themselves. But I think, if you can't sit back and wait until after you've stepped on stage.
And you're talking like
at night.
overindulging too, just the whole
Yeah,
thing. Everything.
I'm not talking about
Things
like,
you haven't
take
had in a while,
bite
plus
or-
your.
I'm
yeah.
talking about I have walked back there, and not just recently, but I'm not talking about taking a bite or
Yeah.
sucking on a piece of candy.
Self-indulgence.
or- I'm talking about walking back and just seeing copious amounts of candy and baked goods.
like
and
Halloween.
yeah, it looks like
Got a
freaking
candied apple back
Halloween,
there.
in people's bags, and they are just going to town. And I think it's a side of this sport that bothers me a little bit, because either A, you don't have the knowledge, or it hasn't been imparted to you what that's gonna do to your body, let alone your mental after it happens. Because once you've prepped, or even if you're not prepping for a show and you're just a person who's cut out sugar out of their life, and you put that in, it's like sticking a needle in your arm of heroin. I don't know that from personal experience, just so that everyone knows.
I'm just pretty sure.
Yes.
No, I just shoot up sugar.
Yeah. It's like once it goes in, it's like it's like an avalanche. You can't stop. And I've seen it. And I know you guys have seen it in the gym where a girl or a guy will come back to the gym 2 days after the show and you're like, what the fuck?
Right. So why do you think that, like, there's got to be a conscious choice to do that backstage? So why do you think that they're thinking it's okay? What's their logic, do you think?
I think that, I don't want to call it misery loves company, but if everyone's doing it, it must be okay.
That person's doing it, so I
Right.
should be doing it. That person looks good, so I think I need to be doing it too.
And then doing
point.
it. And then realizing sugar is a drug, man. Don't take that with you.
Yeah, I mean, leave it in the hotel.
just-
it's going to be there when you
Right.
get out.
You know,
Nobody's going to get it.
I used to have people say, how come you don't take that stuff? Why don't you do that? Why don't you put that stuff in your bag? And I said, why would I? I mean, I've been doing prep for X amount of weeks, and I'll go out to dinner afterwards and I'll be fine. I don't want that.
Well,
I just don't want it.
I wouldn't
will
want any
say,
dinner if I had eaten
Well,
that.
the thing about that is,
That
like,
didn't ruin my
and you've
steak.
done it for years, too, that when people do that, what you're saying, they change what they've been doing.
yes.
That change. Why would you change something at all that has worked?
Right. Even if, I've heard some people say, well, I didn't make the top 5, so it doesn't matter. I don't care if I
You
didn't
don't
make
know.
the top 5. I know when I walk out there how hard I worked and what I want my friends and family and coaches or whatever to know, that when I went up there, I did a good job.
And you
Not
want to
that-
finish that job you did.
I got to
Gotta
finish
wear
the
your
job.
That's right.
I got to finish the job.
Gotta finish the job.
And once I'm done, then I can have whatever. But I remember my very first show. Afterwards, we went to pizza and beer. On the way home, and I think I only had like 2 pieces of pizza and a half a beer. Oh, I was
Like
on the back seat just writhing in pain because my stomach hurt so bad. And I thought, I just don't ever want to feel like that again. And, you know, as you get coached more and more and experience and know your body more, the longer you do it, you know what's going to work. And sometimes we think we can outsmart a poor choice.
I'll be able to handle
We can outwork a poor choice. And that's not healthy either. I mean,
Well, the thing about that too is, you know, afterwards, you know, we want to go out and have a celebratory meal.
yeah,
That's what you always
absolutely.
say.
Who would
But then,
not?
yeah, but after that, you got to kind of go right back to where you were and work your way back up a little bit, right?
You were mentioning like inexperienced coaches, and there are a lot. But I think it's even more than just being inexperienced, because I think that a lot of experienced coach and knowledgeable coaches maybe are not that good at this part. It's a matter of walking someone through what a thing is going to feel like. I've been there. Like when you have a child and they're middle school age and they get bullied, or the girl that they asked to sit by at the lunch table decided she didn't want to sit by him anymore, and so they have that little heartbreak. Well, Bobby, I can tell you, I know how that feels, because when I was 12, I had this thing happen, or my best friend had this happen, and this is how he felt, and this is how everybody else, we saw them laughing. You know, you can kind of walk through the situation of what a thing is going to be like and how to navigate it.
Right.
Based on life lessons that you've learned. And you would tell your kids that. Or when you go to the mall, don't talk to strangers, and don't, you know, you prepare them for scenarios, which I'm getting out in left field here, but like you've mentioned this one about photographers. You have young, beautiful athletes.
Yes.
You need to let them know if they get a
approached.
message from a photographer asking to take some free photos to help them with their placing. It is your duty as a person who has a conscience, not just their coach, to say, don't do that.
Right.
That's dangerous.
What was it?
It could
Well-
be dangerous for your safety, but also it's dangerous for your well-being. It's not true, any of it. Now, if you're just into that and you just want to do that, I can't stop you. But those people do this to girls like you. This type of thing happens in the
All the
industry
time.
because, like, you just got that message and were flattered because, oh my gosh, I've never had a professional photographer approach me. I don't have any idea how he found me or knew my name. Well, because he's out there searching for
Yes.
people just like you.
Predator.
Who will
Brand
be
new.
flattered.
Yes.
It's a different type of predator.
Is trying to sell you an idea of an exciting thing, like, let's go to Hollywood, baby, just sit down on this couch.
It's
Kim had a certain way to handle that, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah. He told me, he said, if you get approached by anyone who wants to take your photo, get their card, bring it to me, and I'll tell you yes or no. But again, this all circles back to that first podcast that we did. That wasn't really a podcast.
It was the first
it was
test.
just a test run. Research. Only you can take care of you the best. No one else can take care of you better than yourself. That means with everything you have access to these days via your phone, which is never away from an athlete.
No.
You can search and put in somebody's information and check it out. However, anybody who's been in this sport for a really long time knows Dan Ray, Mark Mason, Isaac Hines used to take a lot of photos. There's a lot of guys, Lou Cribb, out there who do the photos that you could even just go ask.
Mm-hmm. True.
However, know this. I am not a good photographer, but I could go get a camera.
Oh, yeah.
I can go get a business card made, and I can walk up to you and I can say, I'm so-and-so, and here's my website. No, your boyfriend or husband can't come with you.
It's a HIPAA matter.
And, right. And,
People throw
and
that
just,
around all the
we
time.
can
Why
do
not?
it in your hotel room. And, if it don't sound right, it ain't right.
Right.
Period.
Right. And even if they have a website, if you can't
That's what I'm saying. It's
verify
easy to
them-
put it up.
Well, no, it's easy to put a website up, but the actual freaking content.
Right.
In fitness industry, there are stolen photos all over the place for legit looking ads of all kinds of
and there's
things.
deep
even
fakes.
legit
I can
products.
take
Deep fake, too.
your
Right.
face, put it on my body. I can it's just crazy
Yeah.
what can be done now. And the more content you start putting out there, the less of it you own.
Well, the thing about it, too,
So-
is they prey on people's insecurities, because a lot of people, especially women, they do this because they are feeling insecure about something. I'm sorry, they do, a lot of them, and they want to feel better, and this can make them feel better.
Right.
And then, so it's like, it's not all that risky for a photographer like that to assume every female athlete's like that. So they like, oh, you look really great. You did really good. You're preying on that insecurity to get their attention to do something.
Right.
So their guard gets let down,
And
and
nothing
bad shit can happen.
pisses me off more than people out there taking advantage of people like that.
Now it's my turn to talk about the
Well,
coaching side of it.
One more thing on that. It's insecurity, yes, and in a way, it doesn't even have to be a person who is insecure to have this type of feeling, but it's preying on people who want to be somebody.
Right.
True.
I want to be somebody. I want to be
Yeah.
known in this sport, right? All these women, or if it's the female competitors, these women are stunning. They all look like models, and their physique, oh my gosh, it's like you couldn't have drawn it better, like Jessica Rabbit, And I want to be that. I want everyone to know my name. I want to have fans. Well, this dude is saying he can get me some really bomb photos and get me in front of the right people, which it's all political, and you just need to be seen by the right people. So how else can I do that? I don't have the money to take photos. I already spent all my money on my $1,000 suit, and I've got V'd makeup artist coming up because she's amazing, and all that kind of stuff. It's really easy to be like, this is my shot. Do you know how long it'll take me if I don't get put in front of the right people? This could save me years.
And if I don't do it now, that may be my window just went out,
Right.
out the window, my chance out the window.
Even aside from being like any kind of sexual thing that someone might try to do, even aside from any negative feelings you might have about it, people don't consider that like 5-10 years from now, a photo that was taken in something like that could literally cost you your job.
Internet's forever.
I mean, there are morality clauses and stuff.
Yeah.
And even if I have heard of people losing their job for their actual stage photos. So, yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Because that's not that we don't approve of that here. We have a certain environment, and we have the morality clause, and it's firing for cause. So you're not even getting unemployment. So you need to make sure that you are actually okay with everything that you do, even if it could get you in front of the right person.
But why are you wanting to be in front of the right person? What are you expecting to gain?
Good question.
That's my question to almost
you make it.
everybody.
That's what a lot of them think, yeah.
But make it to what? What are you trying to make?
What's
It's
the end goal?
next level every time.
The next level.
wanted to get
What's
to
the
this
next
person
level?
To get me to the next level. I know it's never stated. It's never stated.
Nobody
They don't have a
knows why
plan.
they're doing it.
Right.
Nobody knows their why. And until people are clear about their why, will they not make it in this sport?
True. Yes. Hello.
Because I see that with people like
Mic drop.
I'm on the message boards and stuff, and I see so and so is switching coaches. I'm going to switch coaches. Well, why? What were they? No, they were great. I'm switching coaches because I want to make it to the next level.
What?
And then I'm going to go a little bit for it, which means I'm guessing winning a show. And then I've done that. This coach was great for that. But now that I need to get to a higher level, I need to switch coaches again. Or change suits or whatever thing that they do. But they don't ever sit and think about what is the actual ultimate. What are you going for? What are you trying to do? And how the hell do you get there?
Well,
You don't have to
okay.
leapfrog everywhere. You make a plan, find someone who can steer you there, and build a trusting relationship with them, whether that's your friend, your mentor, you do that in life partners and spouses and stuff. You just, there's
Good
not
point.
a next thing that you have to go seek out. You just have to sit still, learn,
Stay committed to what
build,
you're doing.
grow, get all the puzzle pieces in order, and just put the freaking puzzle together. It's that easy.
It is. It is. It's, again, circling back to the why. When somebody comes to you, I know you guys are going to ask their why.
Well, they put it on the application they get, but then for the last year I started off, okay, I read your answer why you want to do this. Spend the first 3 or 5 minutes really telling me about it.
Right. And
then it really starts coming out.
yes.
It's usually not even the same stuff that they wrote down.
Yeah, they'll
most
touch
of the
base on
time.
it, but then you start to get a little deeper into the why because you got to ask the question.
Has it ever been, well, I'm coming out of a bad relationship and I'm going to show them what they're missing? Have you ever
Actually,
heard that
no.
one?
And I'm
That's
kinda
good
surprised.
because I've heard that a lot.
Oh,
and
really?
not that I
Really?
coach people in the just posing.
But
because
you're
of
around
things like that.
hundreds of competitors, so they talk to you.
And so you do hear, I just want to show them that, what they're missing out on. I'm like, why do you care? Why is that your why?
Do a photo shoot then.
Why? Yeah. Why is that why would
Do a
you,
beauty contest.
this is a huge investment.
I mean, go get your hair did.
Get that hair
I've
did, girl.
heard that one.
Right.
Put some curls in.
Or like,
Do
that's
something.
why I'm going to get a makeover or something because
it's
he's
just-
got a new girlfriend and I might run into him and I need to let him
I'm not
know.
saying you shouldn't do the sport unless you have a why. I think if you want to do well in the
Yes.
sport,
You can go out
you
there just
need
because.
to know your why. Absolutely.
Right.
You can be like, I just want to try it.
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Will I
And
be
if you're
ready?
fucking curious, fucking try it.
But be real about what your why is versus where you want to go.
Right. And it is a breath of fresh air to sit and talk with athletes backstage, as a competitor, when I was competing, to sit back there with like-minded competitors and talk about why you're doing it or what brought you to it. And talk to people who are very realistic about what they expect out of it.
Well, the why in most people are just surface level why.
Right.
But it's got to be something what you're talking about here, and what drives you, what comes deep inside.
Right.
Because that drive deep inside for whatever you want to do is what's going to propel you playing the long game.
Right.
Just the surface level wise, it's fleeting. It comes and
Yes.
goes.
You have to solve there's a problem to be solved. What is it? I mean, throughout this sport, you're going to solve your problem. Your problem is you're not where you want to be. Okay, so where is that?
Where
What's
do
the
you want to
solution?
be? And I
So,
think
because all of these things are just along the way, we want to achieve these things
Right.
while we're going somewhere. And we're in the car, and we got a full tank of gas, and all of our bags are packed, but nobody has said where we're going to end up.
right.
Like, where are we going?
Where are we going?
Because there's a lot of places we could go, but we do need to know if we're heading to this side of the country or this side.
And do we have a very clear map on how we're going to get there?
Right.
And do we have alternative options when something doesn't work out?
You're going to have things you have to deviate from.
And I was just listening to you talk, and then I had this like thought of something that has left my mind because I started getting in your car and driving with you somewhere and wondering where we were going, but it will come back to me.
Well-
but it had to deal with the why.
Well, it started when I said that it has to come from within the drive.
Oh, there it is.
Because, like I said, if you don't have that drive,
Right.
that comes from your gut. You know, like you think about it when you go to bed, you think about it when you wake up in the morning. That's what's going to propel you
Your
to a high
gut
level.
is built with what you are.
Yes,
Deep
I like that.
down, your virtues, your values, who you are as a person. Are you a cheater? Are you a liar? Or are you someone that speaks the truth and walks the talk? Or are you somebody that talks a lot and doesn't really, you walk half the time?
Good point.
That
To thy
is
own
what-
self be true.
Exactly. So your own values, your core values will determine your success.
Oh, I never thought about it like that, but you are like spot on.
It's like there's a
Spot
saying,
on.
what you do when no one is watching, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Integrity.
Yes. And I'm not saying be perfect because fuck, the more mistakes you make, the more you learn. You learn either that was a great payoff or that fucking sucked.
I ain't doing that again.
And you know how to.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
no, it'll be better.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
I'll get it
And-
right next time.
Right?
No, you learn from
But
it.
your core values will determine how well you do, not just in this sport, but any sport.
Anything that is you're going to face adversity. You're going to have challenges.
Yes.
And that you know,
Storms.
you're going to fail.
And
If
this
you have
is
to
an
go through a storm,
avenue
and you will.
to
Yeah.
take on as much opportunity to fail and how you deal with it. This sport is like probably one of the top ones. It isn't a sport where you shoot the ball into the basket and you score a point. This is like taking a panel of people who say, we accept you or we don't.
And if we don't accept you, let me list the reasons why.
Right. And for you to sit back and take constructive criticism,
Oh, yes.
there is not a judge out there who is going to sit in front of you and tell you all the terrible things about why they didn't pick you. They're giving you information to take back to the drawing board and make a new plan. They are in no way, and I like to always preface anytime I've talked to an athlete, in no way, shape, or form is what I'm going to talk to you about placing any value on you as a human.
I have heard you literally
all
say
the
those
time.
Because-
in exact words.
Because it is very hard for somebody that's new to the sport who's putting themselves out there in the unknown universe of tiny bikinis and tans and hair and makeup and high heels and, you know, there's a lot of,
it's so vulnerable.
it's so vulnerable. And to not be accepted by getting one of your trophies, you know, I already feel bad about myself. So now I'm going to go down and hopefully you're not going to make me feel terrible. So I always feel it's important to let the athlete, male or female, know in no way, shape, or form do I want you to take what I'm about to say as placing value on you as a human, because I am sure that you are a good wife, mother, partner, friend, worker, whatever it is, that's you as a human.
What I'm about to tell you is for bodybuilding purposes only.
Only.
That's it.
For training purposes only.
Correct. How to improve. That's it.
Yep.
Plain and simple.
Right.
You know, but you bring a good point, and I know Natalie has talked about this stuff before too, because we talk about, you know, if you want to do it as a bucket list and all those type of things, which is great, but people need to realize even if it's a bucket list, you get wrapped up into it.
You can't turn your emotions off.
Yeah.
Even if you can be hell-bent on turning your emotions off.
Yeah. And you may
This
think.
means nothing to me. It is just a thing I'm doing. Guess what? Soon as you step off that stage, if not while you're walking out, when you see back the photos start being posted online, your feelings are here, sister.
Yeah.
They are here. And they range from, I'm worthless.
What was I thinking?
I don't even belong in the same universe as these women. I could never measure up to them. No wonder the judges wouldn't look at me. Matter of fact, I saw the judges looking down and writing when I was on the stage. So obviously they weren't looking at me. They were writing their notes so that they could talk to you after the show. But we hear that a lot. I saw them scribbling.
They think it's not going to bother
They're
them.
probably doodling. I heard one say before that I saw judges doodling when I was on the stage. But yeah, you start to tell yourself all of those things, and then it can trickle down into, well, that's probably why my husband hasn't been looking at me very much lately. I mean, that's why I don't ever get asked out. It's all these things that it's literally a recipe for low self-esteem, self-hatred, self-loathing, and depression. But you can know exactly what you're getting into by attending several shows. I always recommend people, if you want to compete but you've not been involved in it, go to prejudging and judging of multiple shows. By whatever cost the seats are to sit right behind the judges, as close as you can get to the judges. In the center if you can. Just sit there. Just pretend that you are judging them. You don't have to know what you're doing. Just your eyes. What do you see? Which ones look best to you? If you could pick any one of them up there to be, which one would you want to be? However you want to refer to it, what sticks out to you the most? Start writing the scores down for yourself. And by scores, I mean which one is first, second, third, fourth, fifth, that. And see if you start to get, at least remote, like you had someone as first that was in the top 5, maybe, at least. But if you regularly don't, you have a lot of research to do because you don't even know what it is that we're looking for yet. If you can't even pick out one of the people we'll have in the top 5 when you're looking at a show, and
the speed at which you have to look.
If you're if your coach, if your coach can't do that, they're not the person to be guiding you,
right?
Because they don't know what it is they're supposed to be building. Perhaps they're great at building stuff, building physiques, but they have to know actually what it is that the judges are looking for.
Yes.
And have to have at least an idea of that to get you there in the first place. But you should know that. I see so many people just expecting their coach to do all that.
No.
But you don't even know if you're doing well or not when you don't even know what it is that we're looking for. And they'll read like the guidelines, see a photo. Maybe they saw Miss Olympia. But that's not the whole story.
It isn't the whole
story.
story.
That is a tiny little segment of it. And then they only see that much. Then they go to their shows, or they go to a friend's show or something, and they're completely perplexed about how the judging went down. It had to be biased. It had to be
political.
It had to be so-and-so is on this team, and this team's male coach is X is with this team's, and that's why they didn't place me because my coach is the ex-girlfriend.
Start
of this
taking
dude.
fucking ownership
I mean, just
of where you're placing.
pay attention to what it is.
Even if you did look amazing and you do, and your coaches or whoever think you should place higher, it's still your responsibility to own your shit.
Oh yeah.
right.
Like it is
What could you
what it
have done
fucking
differently?
is.
And look at the person who won, and look until you can see clearly with your own eyes what they had that you didn't have.
For me,
Because there is going to be a thing.
there is
There
always
is.
going to be
And that
a
doesn't mean
thing.
they're a better person than
No,
you, or they're more
no.
valuable than you. But you have to be able to objectively step outside of the girl whose shoes just went out there and did her best and is now upset, and look at the person who beat you and see why. Why did an objective panel of people, strangers to both of us most likely, look at her and award her this position? And why did they not award me that position? Because if you can't do that, you don't know what it is that we're looking for. You're never going to reach that level of success that you think that you want or need to reach if you don't know what differentiates.
I would ask the question for someone who is wondering, what is it that makes the person who's winning all the time the winner? Why do they keep winning? One, we talk core values. Two, they've done their research. And three, they don't do the things. I used to tell myself, if I want to go to the Olympia, what are all those people doing that go to the Olympia?
What everybody else isn't doing.
And that is sleeping, eating right. And when I say eating right, I'm saying they aren't eating the shit that
That's the final answer.
it is.
They're not
It's the
eating
fine.
shit.
Like I would always think, Flex Lewis is not eating. What are they? Protein bars and stuff when he's prepping for a show.
No,
he is not eating
he's eating
those.
meat.
He's eating real food.
A lot of
Real food. Anybody who's winning outside of PEDs, because you can look amazing without them. It just, and I don't think you should rely on those as a beginner at first. You should see how well you can be
do first. Yes. See how far you can go.
If
you're doing it right.
See what you're capable of, so your coach knows what you're capable of. Save yourself a lot of money.
A lot of times I think go ahead.
It's like, no, I need to do this in order to be at this level. No, you are brand new. You need experience to be at that level. You need knowledge. Yes. Figure it out. Have a coach who's going to tell you, here's what you need to do. I need to see what you can do if you do everything to the letter. And it's not working out 7 days a week for 5 hours. That's not being efficient. And that is just going to set you up to fail. Listen to a good coach who is going to give you the information that makes sense to you. And when you sit down and talk with a coach and it makes sense, you know it makes sense because you can continue to ask questions and they will have the answer. Instead of trust the process.
Oh, don't even get me started on that.
Trust the process. I've been doing this for years, but then you should be able to go, but who?
Here's the answers to the questions you're
If
asking.
you've been doing it for years, how come no one has either A, turned pro, B, never won a national, title, doesn't place in the top 5? There's So
Because the judges, actually, I went to school with one of the judges, and my older brother bullied his younger brother. So that's why my athletes don't place very well.
I didn't
They
have big
should
enough
be.
boobs. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, none of my athletes.
I always
got
like
a
to
breast
tell them Nicole
augmentation.
Wilkins
Good
did
Lord.
not have any boobs when she won her pro card in not just fitness, but figure.
Yeah.
Both.
You were talking about sleep and doing the stuff that other people aren't doing.
Oh, yeah.
This is a tangent, but not everybody should be competing right now. It's not the
Preach.
right time for everybody. I was on a message board yesterday or a couple days ago, and this woman with 3 children, ages like 1 to 5, maybe 1 to 7, she spends 2 hours a day in the gym, and she gets 4 hours of sleep a night.
Oh, my God.
And she was wanting to know how she can explain to people that her self-care, which she's considering the prep for her show, the self-care, is really important. Her rest day is really important, is what it was. Well, yes, ma'am, you acknowledge that your rest day is important, but you're failing to rest every other night of the week. And if you are getting only 4 hours of sleep, you're already spread way too thin for your children. You do not get that time back.
You don't get it back.
My 4 kids, the youngest is 17, okay? She is now my baby because they don't come back to the baby stage. You do not get that time back with them. Resentment can build from them. Mommy's always gone. Mommy loves bodybuilding more than us.
Yes,
There is absolutely
100%.
nothing wrong with being in the gym. Take your kids to the gym. Take them to the daycare in the gym so that they have fun while you're in the gym doing something. They see mommy lifting. I absolutely support all that. But if you're already not being able to fit it into your life, there is no way you're going to fit prep in and still have something to pour from your empty glass for your kids,
Because
for
he's
your
filling
husband,
up your glass.
for your job. And this woman also had just, in her message, she had just had to choose between a job that was like triggering and demanding or her prep. So
She chose
my
prep?
first yes, she chose prep. my first reaction to that is, as a mom, as a business owner, as an employee, is she did not have anything to pour from her cup, so she was not performing well or was crabby or something. And I don't even know the situation, but my first assumption has to be that this woman operating on 4 hours of sleep, trying to keep a household happy, and also go to a, not hot yoga, but some kind of a hit 45 or something with her girlfriend on some other days. Like, the show is not that important. And we live and breathe bodybuilding.
Right.
It's just
I
not
don't know
that
how many
important. You have
times
to
I've
have
heard
your
you guys talk
priorities.
about this is maybe we should not be doing this show.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Or
It's
it's
not
not-
always the right time. The stage
Maybe it's
will
time
always
to.
be there.
It will
Yes.
always be there. More times.
I did my first
Oh my
show at
gosh.
42. How old were you when you did your first show?
43, I think.
43.
44.
And you were on the Olympia stage at how old?
40. Well, it was
35?
2013 and 14.
Now, this is
So,
important.
I know.
I was in my mid to late 40s.
Right. I'm not saying you have to wait until your 40s. Of
No.
course not. But
But
I'm
there's
saying
time.
if your life is already very full, there's not room for competing in it right now. That doesn't mean you can't be building your fantastic physique, but you just don't have the space right now
Right.
to be
And right
everyone
now,
to everything to everyone.
Right now could mean just this year.
And your
next
physique's
year.
going to look better.
Right.
Anyway, because you'll have more time.
And or it might be maybe you started prepping but you're showing signs of injury. that is very acute right now, but could turn chronic, which could make things really bad. And you listen to that, maybe have it repaired, or maybe go through some physical therapy, get it healed, get it strong. If you aren't, how do I say this in a way that doesn't, I by no means am trying to downplay anybody who is making money at being at the top of this sport, but they are an anomaly.
They're outliers.
They are the
They're the
outliers,
exception to the
and
rule, basically.
and
Yes.
quite frankly, I love a lot of those outliers.
1% of
it's-
1% of 1%.
right?
Really.
I mean, it's why it's what one of the reasons it motivates us to be in the sport. You know, we're attracted. Everyone's attracted to a winner.
You gravitate to her.
Yes. Everyone is attracted to the person who has a story to tell.
Everybody loves a good story.
Everybody loves a good story. And it's really hard to follow somebody or listen to somebody who doesn't have a story.
You can't get invested.
You know,
Like on American Idol,
Right.
You like the person that you met.
Oh,
you
God,
met
I
their
love hearing this
grandparents, and you saw
story.
they live on that country road, and
oh
there's
my
a dog that
God,
runs up,
and they
Oh
built
my
their
God,
own gym
listen
out
to
of
'em.
like
right.
their extra parts in the barn or whatever, you know, and they just did like the Rocky stories, right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I
Yes.
just probably a couple months ago watched every single Rocky.
yes.
I just binged
I
it
could
all
watch those
one
over
weekend
and over again.
because I just remembered how good it was, and I
It's a feel good underdog.
oh my gosh,
Out of
I
nowhere,
have
somebody
the
shows
Tigers
up.
on my Road to Pro playlist,
Oh, it was.
and it was also my alarm clock every morning.
Everybody loves a good story. And I will tell you, the women that I have met and journeyed through all of the changes from it being just bodybuilding to bodybuilding and fitness, adding in figure, adding in women's physique, the whole thing, the decades, those women have amazing stories. Each one of them, not better than another, but to understand really how the sport has been paved and the pains that we've gone through to get to where we are, to be able to still love the sport and have respect for it, but also understand its pain points, you know? And anything that we have to offer is to better the sport, to better the athlete, to better the woman, the man. It's so much is changing. But if any one of those women, even though we haven't talked in quite a long time, if they said, I need you, I would go.
Knowing you, I'd do that.
I would go because they all the camaraderie, but they knew the reality of the sport. They were very realistic about the outcomes, and we all supported each other. Never have I felt such camaraderie with a group of women, which I didn't expect. I did not expect the women's physique division to be as close as we were. We could be backstage. I had a gal, Michelle Trapp. I didn't know her, but some water got spilled on her backstage as we were getting ready to go out. Yeah, and I immediately started grabbing towels and dabbing it and she just looked at me and she said, "Why would you do that?" And I said, "Oh my God, I would hope someone would do that for me.
Right.
I would hope that someone would do that for me. I would never wish this on anyone." And we were friends. You know, instant. But there was no hesitation for me to haha,
Right.
this is gonna take one more person out. No. I would never want another person to go to, I put myself in her shoes and thought, holy shit, Well, somebody,
And it's instantly like, we have a problem.
right. We have a problem.
problem.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's a we thing. It's
Yeah.
not a me thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't even care. Even if I thought, you can tell when people want to be alone. Certain people need to be alone. And it's not that they're being
Personal? No.
rude or anything. Some people need to center themselves that way.
So you get in the
But
zone
it's-
sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And having too much noise is distracting. And we all knew that about each other. Like we couldn't wait to see each other because none of us live in the same spot. We were coming from everywhere, but it wasn't one of those things where if we messaged somebody and said, "Hey, what show are you doing?" It wasn't one of those creepy, weird things that, you know, some people do, like stalk your Instagram and, "Hey, what show are you doing?" "Oh, I'm doing that show too." You know, it wasn't like that. It was like, "Oh my God, we need to plan. Like, when are you getting there?
Where
What
you
can we
eating
do afterwards?"
afterwards? Yep.
Yeah. You know, let's hang out and catch up. But, or are you going to that? I'm not doing that show, but I am going to support somebody else. Let's, you know, how can I help you? Sarah Hurley's another one. She just reached out to me just a few weeks ago. I had posted a photo of my 13-year-old daughter going to a dance. And she was like, "Oh my gosh," you know? And
She was just born yesterday.
right? I mean, I remember when Sarah had Quincy, and I was like, I look at him now, and he's like playing football and lacrosse and basketball, and like he's just this handsome young man now, and it just seems like it was yesterday. But those are the types of things. That was my why in the sport.
Yeah.
If I got to go to the Olympia, if I made it there, I knew that it wasn't all me. I knew it was all of us.
Yeah, because you make sacrifices, so do the people around you.
Absolutely. It was my husband, my kids, my coach, my friends, my family. You know, everybody makes a sacrifice. A sacrifice, like Scooby-Doo.
You're on the stage, but it's still a team effort.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then, you know, when you decide that the sport isn't something that you're going to compete anymore, you know, you have avenues like this that you aren't just done. And it leaves a bitter taste. It's like, okay, how can I help somebody else's journey be better than mine?
Pay it forward.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
And I remember after you got your pro card, we were sitting at the judging table, and I don't think I'd ever really talked to you. I don't think we've ever sat on the same side of a judging table. And
I sat by you a couple of times, but she
I
hadn't
have a
because
feeling
they,
about that.
because
Right.
they always had to separate
And I
on
remember-
opposite sides.
I had seen that you had gotten your pro card in, was it two?
The second
Did you
show.
No, I mean,
No,
didn't you get two?
I did crossover.
Yeah.
But I got 9th in bikini.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking, oh my gosh, yay. One,
But I did
she's
win
a
the,
master's.
I did win. I won 3 overalls at the first show, but then I placed second in.
You won 7. You won 7. Dear,
No,
at the first show.
overalls.
Anyway.
Overalls.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I placed second in bikini, so I did really well.
Really well.
In 2 divisions.
Yeah.
At the first show, and then
And
we just focused.
I remember thinking, I've never talked to her, but no one ever really talks to me either. So
I have a story about that.
I want her to know that I think she did amazing, and I'm super proud of her. And we just started talking, and then I think we just all like developed this great relationship and started talking, and
and
everything
it's that
has
love of the
evolved.
sport. Like
It is.
It's
That's what I was
the
gonna say. That's the-
admiration,
that's
like,
our bond, the love of the
shared
sport.
Journey. You're not on the journey at the same time or same path with people, but you know what it's like. You know what they're going through. You
Yeah.
see their drive, and you feel it for them and with them at the same time. But as far as talking to you, so I don't know if everybody knows this, but Chet was judging before I was judging. And of course, at home, I was critiquing Chet's judging. You know,
You critique everything of mine, but that's okay. Keeps me on
Yeah.
my toes.
so that's why we got married.
Yeah, true.
So, Anyways, so he had sat by you a couple times, and he had said that you're really nice, and I was like, I don't know, she's really like severe looking. She's always like done up perfect, and she seems kind of what was the word? Oh, she seems kind of intimidating. I don't know. And I think I had been at the judging table with you for a few times, and I was like, not going to talk to her. 'Cause, I mean, like, I don't know. Like, she's up here on this level, and I'm just, like, starting out in this. But the second that I did talk to you, I went home after that show, and I was like, oh, I got to sit by Karin this time? I don't know what I was thinking. She is so nice and relatable. Yep. And, you know, like, yeah, she's all those perfect things, but she's a really nice and genuine person, which leads me to competitors going backstage and thinking everybody else, because they look so beautiful on that day and perfect, and they're the epitome of perfection, and we all start to think everyone else looks better than we do and all of that kind of stuff. But I've seen people that went to shows and didn't talk to anyone, so therefore they came back from their show and, well, all the girls were just kind of like cliquish and stuff. But they most likely weren't. And take it from me, I'm somebody who is very socially anxious, and I have that kind of feeling too. I cried my first time in the gym, not joking, because I didn't fit in there and all of that kind of stuff.
True.
But if you just like kind of stand near some of them,
Oh, yeah.
you'll just find an end to the conversation.
Like attracts like. And
right. I mean, you just don't be afraid to go near the pretty people that you see at the shows and feel like they're going to not talk to you because you're nobody yet. They're probably also nobody. I mean, seriously.
Yes.
Especially
and they have
at
the
a regional show.
Same fears.
They're just as anxious as you. They just might happen to have seen that girl the last time they were there. Or 45 seconds ago, she started talking to her, and now they look like they're the best of friends. But it's just people being nice, and they all are almost all going to be supportive of you if you go over and put yourself into that situation. That was odd for me.
It was
I'm
always
not
odd
that
for
person,
me.
And I was afraid of that coming into this sport. But I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, I have had conversations with women who are like could be charging money to put dudes in headlocks. I mean, like, some, with the thighs I'm talking about, you know, like some seriously muscular women. And I've done workouts with them and stuff, like Mariko and Chris Gaffin and Mariko were together.
Oh, you should have seen these two together.
Like,
Yes. Oh,
we would go to lunch together and stuff like that. And we were the oddest couple in an establishment or something. But she was so nice.
Oh, she was a sweetheart.
And she was. You just get these like perceptions of people, especially when they're heavily muscled people who
and female
look to you like they have achieved something, have just paid $175 to $200 to have the most amazing makeup that you have ever seen in your life on, and you did yours in your hotel room the best you could do. So just go talk to them. You will have so much fun. You will meet people. There will be one person at one show you encounter that you're like, well, she was kind of a bitch. Well, there's going to be somebody like that in the grocery store. Yes. And she's probably going to have just rolled out of bed too. She's not going to look like that. But don't judge these women, and don't like seclude yourself from them and rob yourself, I guess, of that camaraderie that you're talking about. Because it is there. I have cried with women backstage. My first show ever, you were talking about cleaning the water.
Oh, I was going to bring it up, yes.
There was, in one of my master's classes, there was this lady that was, and she was older than me. She was freaking banging.
Oh, she was. She was like,
I think she was like, if I was going to win, she was going to be second, or we were going. She was the one that
y'all were going to be battling.
The competition, right? So if I was going to be second, she was going to be first.
Yep.
she was getting super lightheaded backstage. And mind you, we don't manipulate sodium and water. So I was back there and had my big water jug and stuff. And
She hadn't had food all day.
she had not had any food
Oh.
all morning. She had had sips of water. And so I had one of those little, like, the really cheap plastic water bottles that you get, like the 24 case
Yeah.
of them. So when you squeeze them, they're, you try and take the lid off and they're crunching up in
Yep.
your hands. They have this tiny little cap like this, right? She said to me, "Could I get just a capful of your water?
No, hang on. I got to put in
I
context.
feel like I'm going to pass out."
Yeah.
She was, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, context. They were calling them out.
Yeah, it was like go time.
Yeah, it was. Like 30 seconds to get out there. Go.
Yeah, and so she's like, "Can I please have just a capful of your water? Please, I wouldn't ask if it wasn't an emergency." Like, she was apologetic and everything, but like, I feel like I'm going to pass out. I'm really not feeling well, and started getting woozy and everything. And I was like, "No, take the water. It's not going to mess your physique."
Meanwhile, the
Promise
ladies
you.
over here saying,
Take
"Hurry
this
up, hurry
water,"
up, come on.
And they're trying
Yep.
to pull us out. And so I'm going, "Matter of fact, sit right here. Drink this water. I'll be right back." Went to my bag, get my almond butter.
Hang on, you told me to go try to delay.
Yeah, and I sent him up to go and talk to the
Expediters.
expediters. We have a medical situation back here. I am not about to go out there and leave this woman standing here.
Right.
If we all missed the class, we all missed the class. I'm sorry. This woman is in a situation. So I grabbed my almond butter and I handed it to her, and she's like, "Well, and I don't know, you haven't even used it yet," because it was just in case I needed
right.
it. And she's like, "I don't even have a spoon or anything." I said, "Stick your finger in there. Just
get it.
some. Just have some almond butter and some water." And she just started sitting there, and I mean, she like had some tears in her eyes, going, "I can't believe you did this. Thank you so much. I don't know what happened." Well, of course, she was like having a problem.
Sugar rush.
She was
Yeah,
using
sugar dangerous.
dangerous methods, and she needed help. But she just sat there and had like two fingerfuls of almond butter and like half of my water, and she was like, "Oh." You could like see her regain her life.
Yeah.
And suddenly she was like, "Oh, okay. Are they done yet?" And like, no, he had gotten them.
I'm over there.
And don't bank on this. They won't always stop the
No,
show like that. But they had waited for us, and she was able to go out there.
Well, you still
and-
had to help her
Yeah.
lift her. Walk
so
her
I mean,
to
and
the
I was
edge
prepared to
and
go
then-
out there and pose
And-
with her and give her a shoulder if she needed to, but I was not going to let this woman who looked like that and put in that much work on her physique at her age,
Right.
and not get to have her moment in the spotlight.
Right.
And she did. I'm pretty sure she came second, and I won.
She did well.
Yeah. She-
And the thing is, it was just natural instinct for
Right.
It
you
was.
to do that.
Right.
It wasn't
That's who
that
she
was
is.
me, the mom. I would have
Right.
done that for a lady in the grocery store.
Right.
Just because that's what you do.
right. It's
know?
that's one of your core values.
Yeah,
It's just who you are. And you will find those people.
I was
And
so
that
happy for her. I won that class, right? But I was happier
She was.
that she went
She
out
got
there
teary-eyed coming
and
off of it. She did.
She was
able to get her
finish it.
posing
Yes.
solid and everything.
Absolutely.
I was like, yes, we
Absolutely.
did that. Yes, girl. You know.
yeah. And you probably
I have goosebumps
right.
right
Yes,
now.
I
don't
can
know if
see
the camera
them.
picks it up.
But
yeah, I was so.
do you
happy
message
for
with her at all
No,
ever
I
once
don't
in a
even
while?
know her name.
Oh
I
my
don't.
gosh.
No, I don't.
Oh my gosh.
No, we went and looked for her later, but
Yeah,
she
she had already
gone
left.
and all that
Yeah,
kind of
no,
stuff.
I don't
yeah.
know her name. I mean, I could find it out.
And she
when I look
would
it up.
probably verbatim tell that same
Yeah,
story.
but it was like it meant so much to me to be able to see her go out there and
do that and accomplish that. And I think as coaches, that's what you want for every single
everybody.
athlete, right?
My
Is-
athletes for everybody's athletes. I
yes,
want
is
that.
to have that experience.
Right.
It's like you said. One of the things that kind of brings us together is that pay it forward, because you said the sport's been good to you.
Yes, it's been amazing to
It's
me.
been good to us.
And when I say it's been amazing to me, even though I enjoyed a lot of success as far as trophies are concerned or titles or whatever, I have met some amazing people, male and female, all over. And each one of those relationships creates another relationship. And you can, that's the nice thing about social media, is being able to follow people's journeys and lives online. Outside of the sport, I hope that people will take away from what we talk about here as bringing the humanness to
Absolutely.
the sport.
Agreed.
You know,
That's the family that we talk about.
right, the human side of what this sport can have available to you. It's full of people and knowledge and information and motivational and inspirational and all of the things. Everybody's always trying to learn more, be better, do better.
It's about like overcoming. It's
Yes,
like
it's
a whole
about
bunch of
right,
overcoming.
right.
Overcoming
It's
everything throughout prep, the relationship issues.
Yes,
when you were able
and there's
to
so many opportunities and people that you will talk to where you can say, oh, hey, you know, you'll run into somebody or they'll see something you posted and, hey, I'm looking for a coach. And I always love to be able to say, well, I don't do that, but my really good friends, give them a call and see if they have a spot for you. And they'll always say, well, why do you like them? And I said, because they impart knowledge. I said, knowledge is the key. And I was telling one posing client this morning, I said, knowledge is power.
It is.
And power leads to confidence. And confidence on stage, you cannot buy. You can't buy confidence without learning.
That's true.
Absolutely.
You know,
It's like the first time you train someone, right? There's so much anxiety about, I want to do such a good job. I won't want them to think I'm stupid or I don't know what I'm talking about. Right? And, you know, and then you like find your groove and you also find your niche because
you do.
I think people should understand that not everybody's a good fit. And that's okay. That's okay.
My niche is not posing. It is
Karin.
Karin.
I love
It is
my
Karin's
niche.
niche.
And my niche is not coaching. It is just not. I have tried it and I can say without a shadow of a doubt, I hate it. I just can't. I can be I'm a very coachable athlete. And I think everyone else should be coachable, and that is not the case. And so it is just not for me.
Well, when you're coaching somebody, and Natalie has said it before, to coach is to teach, and there's that's a fundamental. It's a foundation of any sport. I mean,
To
football.
me, it is. I mean, I know
yeah.
everybody doesn't have.
No,
the
but
same
like in
outlook,
football, they don't just tell you to go do something. They teach you how to do something, like how you
And why.
Yeah,
Why?
how you tackle
Exactly.
somebody.
Why are
Why?
we running this defense?
Why do you not tackle with your
because
hand?
They're going to come and run at you over this way, and then when they do that, when you do this reaction, now they know you're going to do that, so they're going to go over here. That's why we set up in this formation so that we can effectively defend against that.
But there's also the safety aspect of it too. Okay, why do you not lead with the head when you tackle?
Right.
Right?
You explain why. Okay, here's what you do. Here's what you don't do. You know, to successfully tackle the person, but also so you both are safe. Well, in you know what we do in bodybuilding, there's a lot of safety aspects to what has to be considered.
Yes.
And when somebody asks you something, you say trust the process. That is not an answer.
That is not an answer. That
You
is,
gotta
I
know.
don't know the answer.
That's either I don't know or you know what, I don't have the time. It's one of those two things, right? And
Or like I've seen it sometimes as I'm at this level. That's why you're paying me. Just do it or don't do it. I've
And I
got plenty
think
of people
there's-
wanting to take your place if you're not
Well,
willing to
there-
just
but
do
there's-
it.
see, so
but
some-
that doesn't serve the athlete.
yeah, but some people just want to be told what to do. That's fine, you know. But when somebody asks you a question, you give it to them. And knowledge is power. Knowledge builds confidence, right? What I say a lot is that if you don't know why you're doing something or how to do it, then it's kind of hard to buy into something.
Right.
And you leave yourself exposed to a lot of things. But when you're explained it, you get buy-in, you work harder, you work faster, or you work better, and you come in excited. And that's going to carry over to the stage, i.e. confidence. You're going to have a better package. What it boils down to, knowledge is power. An informed athlete is a better athlete. End of story.
An informed human is a better human. End of story.
Exclamation point.
I mean, it's you should seek in this life to be informed, well informed.
Agreed.
Instead of walking through, well, I just didn't know. Yeah. I didn't think to ask. Okay, how many times in your life are you going to say that? Is that always your answer? It shouldn't be. And I am not perfect, and there have been many times where I'm like, I should have asked. I didn't think to ask.
Same.
But trust me now, I am the person who will ask a question.
Oh, yes.
But it will be an intelligent question. It will not be just to hear my voice.
It's within the question should be asked within the scope of what we're doing.
Exactly. Or I would say there's a way to ask a question. So, for instance, if I'm an athlete and I say, okay, why is it more important for me to do fasted cardio or not fast? You know, that's a good question.
That's a good question.
That's a great question. And it's very individualized, and there's some coaches have one train of thought and others have another. So,
and they could both be right.
And they could both be right.
Yep.
It just depends on how you feel, what's better for you. And sometimes you have to try that out. But there's also the question that is not as, it's a waste of time. Well, why can't I just eat Triscuits instead of brown rice? Or, when I'm in prep.
That's an okay question. But like I'm thinking, like when you mentioned the cardio, why would I do fasted versus fed and that kind of thing? Is when someone says, I need you to do 30 minutes of fasted cardio, and you're just like, why? Okay, why is not a good enough question.
No.
Right?
Why what? Why do you do 30 minutes? Why am I having to do it fasted? Why can't you do this kind? Why is it treadmill and not elliptical? Why what? So what is it that you actually want to know so that I can give you an answer that actually answers that question and be valuable to both of us?
Right. And with the question on why can't I have Triscuits over brown rice, let's go take that a little further. If you're not in prep or on the last week of dialing in, it's the same reason like why you shouldn't have a protein bar on, those last few days. There's just certain things you should put in your body at a certain time. Be very specific on why you're asking, like you said, what you're asking. What is it pertaining to?
Well, if
Triscuits aren't bad,
right,
but for
what purpose?
At what timeline
are we talking
about? And are you having 5 or are you having a whole box from Costco?
You gotta use some specificity. Like if you were going to the bank, you wouldn't just say, "Can I have some money?"
Right.
Number one, they need to know how much. First, they need to know what is your bank account number.
Right.
They need to see some ID.
Yeah, there's a lot
they
of
also
factors.
need to know
Context.
what denominations would you like it in.
Right. And
from checking or savings.
Right.
They're going to need some background in order to be able to solve your problem, which is you need money. You need to know what you can eat. Well, what are we talking about here? And like when you go to put in a search, like I want people to question everything, but when you go to search something on the internet, you don't get a good answer when you just like, there's a light over there. I wouldn't just search light. Fabric light on a stand. You would need to tell it what type of light, what type of purpose, what am I looking for? Electric, battery operated, what? You be
careful what you search for because it's like, whoa, that is not what I thought I was typing in, but I'm I'm going to do a little rabbit hole
Why does it
seeking right
vibrate?
here.
Now I'm
This
going on a
looks
different topic.
Just like we do in here. It's like, oh, let's go down that rabbit hole.
Oh,
Yes,
God.
please.
Yeah, but you have to actually know what is your actual question before you ask it.
Yes.
But yes, ask all the questions and ask good ones so that the information you're getting back is good information
Yes,
that's actually
because
useful to
there's
you.
a lot of people in this sport that have a lot of good information.
Right.
You know, and I'm ready for a drink.
Okay.
But
Me too.
Is it even on anymore? I don't know.
yeah, it is the light. I look at the red
okay.
lights. But kind of wrap this part up. It goes back to what you said about, you know, what kind of bonds us.
Yes.
Okay, so like we love to share information, share the knowledge. We love the history and all that stuff. It's been good to you. It's been good to us. I mean, we're both pros. We're both
Yeah.
coaches and stuff. So it's that whole pay it forward.
Yeah.
And you know, knowledge is just a transfer of information.
Yes.
From one person to the next.
Yes.
Everything
It's
I
the
know,
passing of a torch.
Yeah, exactly. Everything I know, I didn't absorb it. It ain't my ideas and stuff. I learn from somebody else.
Yes.
Apply it. Give to somebody else, and just like you, we started a lot of the things we do to be that source to pass on the
Yes.
information because we've benefited from it. It's a way of giving back, and just like you. And again, I think the core values.
Yeah.
It's our values as this
As people.
team right
Yes.
here. You know, we love the sport. We see the value in it. We see the human nature of it that we need to see more of.
Yes.
And the camaraderie, the family aspect, the friendships, the bonds, the love for it, the sharing of information, and to see, even if it's not our athlete, just see people do better.